Some of you may be familiar with the spiritual writer and teacher whose name was Louise Hay. Louise published her very first book at the age of 60. That book, You Can Heal Your Life, went on to sell more than 50 million copies, making her the fourth best-selling female author of all time, after J.K. Rowling, Danielle Steele, and Barbara Cartland. You Can Heal Your Life was one of the very first books to establish the mind-body-spirit connection. The key premise of the book is that because our mind, body, and spirit are connected, illnesses of the body somehow have their root causes in the mind, in our beliefs, thoughts, and emotions. Louise Hay believed that the causes of disease, which she spelled dis-ease, include things like stress and unhealthy thought patterns and beliefs about oneself. She believed that the most fundamental way to affect positive change in the body is to change the way we think. When she died in 2017, there were many wonderful tributes to her posted online. But there were also several negative ones. Some commented that she promoted New Age mumbo-jumbo, that she gave people false hope, or that she gave people the idea that if they were sick, it was due to their own thinking. Now, I share this with you today because today's gospel is all about Jesus, the healer. We are still just in chapter 1 of Mark's gospel. We're only just 40 verses into Mark's gospel, and Jesus is already 30 years old and performing healing miracles. Throughout the Gospels, we hear many stories of Jesus' healing miracles, from the healing of the blind and the deaf to the healing of those who are paralyzed or suffering from leprosy. And in all of these instances, never once does Jesus take credit for these healings. He never once said, "I have made you well." Not one time. So what does he say? Well, on the healing of the centurion's servant in Matthew 8:13, he says, "Go, it will be done for you, just as you have believed." On the healing of the woman who touches Jesus' garment in Matthew 8:22, Jesus says, "Your faith has healed you." On the healing of two blind men in Matthew 9:28, Jesus says, "It will happen for you just as you have believed." On the healing of the Canaanite woman in Matthew 15:28, Jesus says, "Woman, you have great faith. It will be just as you wish." On the healing of Bartimaeus in Mark 10:53, Jesus says, "Go, your faith has healed you." On the healing of the Samaritan in Luke 17:19, Jesus says, "Get up and go, your faith has healed you." And on the healing of the blind man, Jesus says, "Receive your sight, your faith has healed you." In each and every instance of healing, Jesus never takes the credit. He says time and time again things like, "Your faith has healed you. Your belief has made you whole. And it is done to you as you believe." Sounds very much like what Louise Hay was saying in her book, right? That it's the power of our thoughts and beliefs that lead to our healing. If you were with us last Sunday, you know that Jesus was talking about power and authority. He said, "You have been given power and authority to heal every kind of disease and every kind of sickness." Yes, you have. That's why I love Eckhart Tolle's words in today's Words of Integration and Guidance, where he says that a true spiritual teacher doesn't say, "Look at me," but look within yourself. The power is within you. That healing is an inside job. Spiritual teacher Mariam Hansna says, "A healer does not heal you. A healer is someone who holds space for you while you awaken your inner healer so that you may heal yourself." Jesus was holding space. He wasn't performing these healing miracles because he was seeking praise for himself or because he was trying to prove himself as Messiah. In fact, throughout the Gospels, whenever the scribes and Pharisees asked Jesus to give them a miraculous sign of his power and authority, he always refuses. Jesus didn't care about proving his power and authority. He didn't care about being praised and worshiped. He cared only about one thing: you. Jesus was first and foremost a teacher. That's why they called him rabbi. And he came to teach us that we could do everything that he did, these things and greater. Jesus came to teach us how to awaken our inner healer through the power of our belief. During our church trip to New Mexico in 2016, we visited a place called Chimayo, which is known as the Lourdes of North America. Over 1 million people visit Chimayo every year with the belief that they will be healed. When we visited, we saw the crutches and leg braces and wheelchairs that were left behind by those who experienced healing. Places like Chimayo and Lourdes have become places of healing because millions of people come with the power of belief. Now, there are people who might say to me, "Pastor Sal, my mother was a woman who had great belief in God and a great belief in herself, and yet she still died of a terrible disease. Are you saying that if my mother had only believed just a little harder, she would have been healed?" No, that's not what I'm saying. And it's not what Louise Hay was saying, and it's not what Jesus was saying. Healing takes many forms. Your mother may not have been healed physically from disease, but that doesn't mean that healing didn't take place. Healing means to make whole, to make holy. Sometimes it manifests as physical healing, and sometimes it manifests as spiritual healing. Throughout Jesus' ministry, many people were healed physically, but many others were healed spiritually. In today's gospel, we heard about the physical healing of Simon's mother-in-law who had a fever, but we also heard that Jesus cast out many demons and those who were possessed. Now, I told you last Sunday, there isn't some red guy with horns and a tail and a pitchfork that's out to get you. The Hebrew for Satan doesn't mean red man with horns. The word means adversary. And this adversary, this opponent, tries to keep us from discovering our wholeness. Jesus called this adversary the father of lies. It's the voice that tells you that you're limited and powerless and separate from God. The purpose of the spiritual life, the purpose of our spiritual practice is to learn to overcome the voice of the ego, the voice of the false self, so that we can attune ourselves more fully to the voice of the true self, the divine self. When we do that, healing takes place. My favorite line in today's gospel says, "In the morning, while it was still very dark, Jesus got up and went to a deserted place, and there he prayed." That is how Jesus accessed this healing power within him, through the practice and power of prayer. So, my friends, I'd like to encourage you this week to go and do as he did, to get up in the morning while it's still very dark and to go to a deserted place, that sacred place within you. It is there, in the stillness, where your healing power lies. Get in touch with that power. Trust in that power. Believe in that power. Renew your mind and be made whole.